Our next guest today is Sister Diane Travis, the Lifetime Achievement Award recipient at the Chamber of Commerce banquet this week. And I am thoroughly delighted that you're here to be with us today, and congratulations too on your award, because it's very deserving.
Thank you. I felt it was a great honor, Lisa, to be there, and also to be here today just to visit with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So now tell me, you received this award because why?
Well, I received this award because Sister Claire decided that some of the things that have been done in my life should be acknowledged and should be told to people. And so I let her twist my arm and let her say what she wanted to say. Yeah. And so that's why.
And unfortunately, I couldn't hear it all because I was in the back.
Yes.
And Sister Claire is a former recipient herself.
Yes, she is.
And we are so fortunate to have the sisters, the Dominican Sisters of Peace at St. Catherine, and because you all do so much for our community.
But the Dominican Sisters of Peace also feel very fortunate that we live in this town of Springfield and in this county of Washington County, because we discover that it is a very close-knit, people invested in life in a very wholesome and healthy way, and we are very proud to be part of that tradition of caring about each other, of making the world better just by the little things we do day after day.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you all do a lot of big things in addition to little things.
Well.
And so I know that you have done many good things in your life. And so can you tell me a little bit about what Sister Claire said about you?
Well, one of the things that I think that has been really big for me in my life is that I did have the chance at one point to be a missionary in Nigeria. And it was at the time of that Biafra war where we had to be sent out of the country because we were in great danger. But that was a very exciting time for me because it was like taking our Christian faith outside of the country into another country where they don't have any exposition of that at all. So that was a very big thing in my life.
Yeah.
One time I had the opportunity and the pleasure of being selected as the Teacher of the Year back in 1981. And then in Oklahoma City one time I was the Woman of Achievement over in 1983. So I've had a few little experiences where people, what I thought was just ordinary, people wanted to honor and reward. And so I let them.
Well, that is great. Well, the Woman of Achievement in Oklahoma, you said?
Yeah, in Oklahoma City.
Now, that would have been through the Business and Professional Women's Club?
No, it would not. It was through the church affiliation.
Okay.
It was through our church affiliation.
Okay. And what was that award about?
Well, it was just being in touch with the realities of the world, helping people and seeing what needed to be done, which is what I think I do with my life. I just do what needs to be done. I've never been worried about overworking or waiting to be told. I generally am a self-starter, and I generally just do what is in front of me to make the world better. That's what I always say, or to make the universe a better home for all of us.
Yeah.
And that's what I did there. And that's what they recognized and wanted to honor.
And so you are a teacher.
I was a teacher for 15 years.
Okay.
I was a principal of a school for 15 years, and I was on the missions for several years, and then I went into healthcare, and I was a healthcare administrator for 20 years.
Oh my goodness!
And so.
Okay, now back to the teacher. Where did you teach, and what did you teach?
I taught everything from first grade up through high school, over my lifetime span.
In Catholic schools?
Yes, in Oklahoma City,
okay.
In Wichita, Kansas, in Pueblo, Colorado, in Hoisington, and a few places like that, wherever our community needed me to be at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then And then I went into healthcare, and then kind of spread myself in the same directions, wherever they needed me at any time. And so I've been
Healthcare as an administrator of
healthcare as a person who was dedicated to getting in the foundational pieces of our faith into ethics, philosophy, mission, all of those kinds of areas on which we build healthcare, but which isn't necessarily administrator, but I work closely with administrators and CEOs.
in some of the hospitals.
In many of the hospitals.
Okay.
I belong to a very large system called Catholic Health Initiatives.
Right.
We had 102 hospitals, long-term care homes, and I was very happy to be going to those places and working with people to maintain the philosophy of our Christian faith.
Right.
That was kind of what it amounted to.
And we have that here in Kentucky,
Yes.
Catholic Health
Oh,
Initiatives.
absolutely do.
That runs, let's see, which hospitals?
Well, they run Bardstown.
Bardstown, Flagey.
And they run Lexington, and they run the
St. Joe and
Kentucky
Lexington.
one.
Yeah,
And in
Kentucky
Berea,
one.
we have
Yeah.
a few places here, yes. And,
Right.
And I did used to work in all those places. That's why when I was asked to come to Kentucky, it was a pleasure because I already knew a little bit about how much I enjoyed being here when I was here. So,
Well, good. Now, where are you from originally?
I'm from a little town in Kansas called Sharon Valley, Kansas, and it was about 100 miles from where I entered the community and from where I branched out. So, it was a little, and there were 11 of us that lived on a nice little farm southwest of this town, and we all grew up, with the good values that our parents taught us, and which
You mean there were 11
Children.
siblings?
Children.
Children?
Uh-huh. And we all say to this day that we had such a good grounding in the faith and such a good grounding in values that it was hard to deviate from what our parents taught us to do and how they lived their own lives as examples. So, yes.
Wow. That's pretty neat.
but now my brothers and sisters are spread all over the country, and so we don't get together much. But we Skype every Wednesday night, and we all can be on the Skype, and we all can hear each other and see each other. It's the most glorious thing about technology.
I know.
It really has been a
It
wonderful
really
thing.
is. It is. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Well, so there are 10 siblings, and you're one of 11 children. And of course, right here in Washington County, you had at one time a lot of those big families as well.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And
So, as you said, you probably did feel at home when you came here.
Yes, I did. And then to work with the wonderful group of sisters at St. Catherine, they've been known all their life as educators and people that are giants in the field of helping other people. And so that's what I work with on a daily basis and really enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. So, well, and of course, the Sisters of St. Catherine, the Dominican Sisters of St. Catherine, joined with some of the other Dominican faiths and became, or the Dominican Sisters and other congregations, and became the Dominican Sisters of Peace.
That's right. There were 7 congregations as part of that merger. They came from Kansas, from Ohio, from Louisiana, from Kentucky, and Michigan.
Okay.
And we all joined together and decided that for the sake of the mission, for the sake of more opportunity to go together to follow our dream, we would join together. And so we did in April of 2009. And then since then, another congregation from Elkins Park, Pennsylvania, joined us. So now there's 8 congregations that came together.
Okay. So now, is that how you got here to begin with? Because your congregation
Was in Great Bend, Kansas.
Okay.
Yes. And when we first merged, people were asked to apply for what they thought they would like to do with their life. And since I had had so much experience with sponsoring hospitals and the work there, I applied to be one of the persons who would visit our ministries around the country. We had 27 ministries between all those communities, and decided that I would like to do that. So for 1 year, that's why I came here, and for 1 year I was engaged in this work, and then in the next year they asked me to take over the coordination of the sisters that live at St. Catherine.
Okay.
But I still am a liaison to the leadership for Sainsbury Care Center and for our other long-term care center in Columbus, Ohio. And
Okay.
that's a great joy too.
So there are 2 long-term
That's right.
care facilities
That's right.
that the Dominican Sisters operate.
That's right.
Okay, now, so you went around to the different, when you first came here, to determine, like, what were you all at that point then going to determine which tasks you were going to be continue to be involved in?
Yes, or to
Such
see
as-
what the needs were, to see how we could be more perfectly suited in the community, to see what we could offer, to see what the communities could offer us, and just made ourselves very available to whatever the needs were in that particular area. And we still do that today. I still tried to work with Sainsbury, what would make them more faithful to their mission of health care for their residents and sisters. And they are just super human beings at that Sainsbury, I
Yeah.
have to tell you. So
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
very fortunate on that.
you are.
And there are the sisters are still very much involved in health care and in educating.
In education. And then now we've branched out into ecological farms.
Right.
And we've branched out into retreat work, retreat center work. And whatever when St. Dominic began the Dominican order, his goal was to whatever the signs of the time were showing that you need. And that's what the Dominican sisters have stuck with. Whatever the need is, that's where you are. That's why Claire, for instance, starts the New Pioneers. That was a dream that she was gifted with to to take forward as wherever she could go. So
And look how
and look how it has spread.
it has spread.
Yes. look
And
how-
all the sisters, of
And
course,
look-
have been involved,
Yes.
and I've gotten the opportunity to see the documentary
Yes,
that,
yes. Yes.
and of course the Sisters of Loretto were involved in that as
Yes,
well.
yes, and we are fortunate that we
Yes.
have the Sisters of Loretto and the Charity Sisters of Nazareth are in our midst also.
Right.
That's why they kind of call this the Holy Land.
Yeah. And now we've got the Holy Land Tour.
Yes, yes,
The
yes, you
yeah.
do. Yes, you do. It's
Or
very
the
nice.
trail, or
Yeah.
and so that's really nice.
Yes, it is. It's very good.
And so, as your position as the coordinator of the sisters now, what does that involve?
Well, at the end, like some positions have terms, and so this position of the Mother House coordinator goes for 3 years of 2 terms. So I was 3 years, and then I was elected back, and then this is the end now in August of my second 3 years. And so it is just a normal thing to move on to something else. And generally, it would amount to where is your heart leading you, as well as how are you going to balance that out with the needs of the congregation. And so that's what you look for, and that's what they look for. So they might ask me to go here or there to do this or that, and I have the opportunity, of course, to say, well, it doesn't fit for me, or sure, I would try it, which I probably would do.
Yeah. I have a feeling you'll try just about anything.
Yes, I think that I would, because I've learned from everything that I've ever been involved in. It just seems like everything is one step leads to another step, and we go on. So,
Yeah.
but I have truly enjoyed it in living in Washington County. I think this is a very wholesome place. I was so impressed the other evening by the whole chamber dinner and the award giving, because if you listen really hard, you could just see that it's everybody for everybody, and it's kind of outstanding here. So I think that some of you have really done some really nice groundwork to make that happen. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Just like my work doesn't happen without giving a little guidance and so forth, you know.
Well, I would say that the Dominican sisters have influenced that.
Oh yes, definitely.
Because they were,
yes.
the sisters were good teachers
Oh yes.
of at St. Catherine Academy and St. Catherine College.
Yes. Yes.
Of expecting students to give, to learn to give to their communities.
That's right. Service was
as
a big
a service, which is a part of the teachings of Christianity.
Exactly.
So that is, I think, a big part of it.
And that's a Dominican motto too, to give to others the fruits of what you pray and think about.
Yeah.
And that's one of our big mottos. So.
So whatever gifts have been given you, you need to use those gifts for the good of others.
Exactly, Lisa. That's exactly where it all is.
Yeah. And I love the name of the Dominican Sisters of Peace, because certainly that's something that all religions strive to
You know,
to have, and that is peace in our world.
exactly. You know, when we first started out deciding on what name we would give ourselves, this is all 7 communities. Peace wasn't the highest one at the top. It didn't get the highest rating at the beginning. But at one point, and we don't really all know how this happened, but at one point, when somebody said Dominican Sisters of Peace, we all sort of knew that that was what we wanted to be called, for the very reason you just said. If this world needs anything, it needs peace.
Yeah.
And then once you have that as your identity, to be Sisters of Peace, then there are many, many ways and many opportunities to manifest that and to try to be a peaceful presence in a sometimes very violent and non-peaceful world.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really like our name, and we really feel like it's the name for us. So.
And I think that helps. I mean, that, needless to say, is, as you said, kind of reflected, I think, or I hope, you know, certainly we have crimes right here in our own county.
Sure.
But I think that presence, your presence in our community certainly helps perpetuate that goal.
And also it is a challenge to us to make sure that we are peaceful ourselves, you know, because things happen in our lives too that, you know, that challenge one to just see, how peaceful am I?
Yeah.
How peaceful is my presence? So
starts within yourself,
it does,
doesn't it?
It does. We all say that. We all say that. So it's been a great movement inside of each one of us to see what we can do to influence the world to just be a better place to live.
Right.
And to be cooperative with one another and all of that.
Well, and so now, where are you going to go and what are you going to do?
Well, as I said, it'll probably be a balance between what the community needs, feels like their needs are, and what my desires are, and my inclination to do the kind of work that they might be giving me to do. So there's opportunities all over.
Yeah.
There's opportunities all over. So in 6 months you can talk to me and I'll tell you where I am. Yes.
Now, you've had a long career.
Yes, I have.
Have you thought about retirement, or you're not even getting near that, are you?
No, you know, it's interesting. I don't think about retirement. I feel healthy and I feel energetic and I feel like I have things to give or that I want to give. So, no, I don't think about retirement. Now, maybe other people say that's what I should do, but, you know, but I don't think about it yet. I will someday.
Now, if I think about all those years that you've done this and done that, that means you are past retirement age,
Oh,
way
yes,
past.
yes. My brothers and sisters all laugh at me. They want to know. They're all retired and they're all living a a healthy, holy life too. And but I tell them as long as I can, and as long as there's work to do, there'll be a time when you're bound to say.
I think there's always going to be work to do.
Yeah, that my better days were behind me or something like that.
But that is certainly, I think, an inspiration for us here too in this community, and that's the fact that no matter your age, Sister Claire's past retirement age too, but you're going strong, and you've got things to do and things to accomplish. And I just think that's quite an inspiration for us here as well in this community, because just because you're of retirement age, it doesn't mean that you should stop being of service.
That's right.
To your community
That's right.
and to others.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and certainly you have been an example of that.
Well, thank you.
And all the sisters.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's very true. That's
Yeah.
very true. Nobody gives up easily.
and as you said, we're lucky to have Sandsbury
In care center.
Care Center here, and because you have the sisters that have retired or
That's right.
that do need medical care.
That's right.
They can stay there.
That's right.
And get good nursing care. Plus, we have people right here in this community that have been able to get in there and get
yes.
and get medical care. and
Our
stay
license allows us to provide care for lay women, just lay women, who whenever our beds are not filled with our own sisters. And we have I think we have like 14 or 15 women now who are very thrilled about their care that they're getting there,
Yeah.
So, but every time we lose a sister in death, like we did this week, then we try to say, how are we going to fill that bed? Because, the more beds you keep filled, the better you're able to run.
Oh, I didn't know one of the sisters.
Yes,
Passed this
Sister
week.
Ruth Marie Smith died this week.
Okay.
We'll have her
I'm
funeral
sorry.
Friday.
Now, are we getting any new sisters?
We have about 5 that are in various stages of becoming sisters. Yes, we're hopeful. They're wonderful young ladies, and it's spreading out, and it will come back. But we do have about 5 in different stages.
Well, good. They're not at St. Catherine, I guess,
Oh,
because
no.
we don't have that
No, we don't
program
have
anymore.
No, we don't have. That's right. Where we train young
where
sisters.
we train young sisters.
But they're being.
Where is that?
Well, they're being trained other places. There's a couple that live in Connecticut. There's some that live in St. Louis. There's some in Columbus, and in Akron, Ohio. We have them different places because we believe that living with the sisters can also be a good example for them, as well as the sisters being kept up with what is important to millennials and all these other folks that are younger than us.
Yeah.
It's a good match.
Yeah. And then, speaking of peace and all, you have your retreat center at St. Catherine as well. Have you been involved with that?
Well, we don't have exactly a retreat center as such.
Oh.
We have a lot of retreat centers, but they're not at St. Catherine's that the congregation has.
Okay.
But we do have Sister Mary Otha used to do a contemplative day here and there for people. We also have cabins that people take advantage of to come and spend a few days to refresh and renew themselves. And if people come and want a little spiritual guidance, there are sisters trained that can do that. But we don't call it a retreat center as such.
Okay.
So
Okay. Well, still.
Yeah, but it's a holy place.
It's a holy place, exactly. Yeah. So, well, I just have to say that the award, you certainly are deserving of that, and I just, I hate to see you leave. I said about the time you get used to where you are, and we get used to having you around, then you're up and gone.
Yes, but I do treasure the moments I've had with the county, Washington County and Springfield, with the sisters here. So I count that all as blessing, and see where it goes with the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Every place I've ever been I've thought was a blessing,
Mm-hmm.
and then you move on and there's a blessing somewhere waiting for you somewhere else. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been good.
Well, it's. Is there anything that anything I have left out today that we need to talk about?
No, I don't think so. I think we
Uh-huh.
covered the gamut, and I think I'm very pleased to have this interview and let people know about sisters everywhere. Because
Well-
they're all the same. They try to do good.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And they get, educated in teaching, I suppose, or healthcare, and
Yes, the
Um,
Sisters of St. Catherine are noted for their great ability to teach. I mean, we get letters constantly from people. You had me in the 2nd grade, you had me in the 4th grade. They have done a tremendous job. And, they're going, and I say they only because I didn't come from that community, so I can brag about them a little. But in 2022, they will have been here 200 years.
really,
In this area.
wow.
So there will be much to celebrate in a few years' time with these sisters. And besides that, it was the first American Dominican congregation that ever existed. So they have the honor of being the very first foundation. So you'll be hearing more about them in years to come.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, we do right here in this area have such a, like you said, we are the Holy Land and of this state or this country.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's a very big honor.
So that's well, good. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that, and people can come down to and visit the college and.
Oh, anytime.
mo-
And the mother house.
and the mother
sure,
house.
Sure. They can stay at our cabins if they want rest. And oh, yes, there's all kinds of opportunities.
Just the opportunity to do the
Dominican
Mile on the campus
yes,
there
Yes, yes.
is just a nice walk and a nice reflective opportunity for
Exactly.
meditation and
That's right.
and the beautiful campus and the
Yeah.
beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
huh?
It really is. Yep, I've been hung around that grotto quite a bit.
Good for you. Good for you.
In my high school and
Sure,
college days.
Sure. Okay.
And it's beautiful there.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
So, well, thank you very
Well,
much, Sister Diane,
yes.
for being
Well,
on here
thank you.
today.
It's my pleasure.
And good luck to you in your next endeavor.
Yeah, okay.
There's no telling what we'll be hearing about you.
That is right. Well, all right. Well, I hope it'll be somewhere where we're out doing some good.
Yeah, oh, I
Okay.
know it will be.
And thank you for having me today, Lisa.
You're
That's
quite
right.
welcome.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good.